Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my Sims 4 speedbuilding video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video, I'm going to be building in the world of Newcrest, which is one of the base game worlds, and I'm going to be building a big family suburban base game only family home. I feel like I said that in a really bizarre, weird structure, but anyway, this house ends up having 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and it's built on a 30 by 30 lot. Now this week, as I'm sure many of you are aware, something very exciting, I say something actually, there's a lot, but one main thing that happened this week, which is really exciting, is the Sims 4 base game has gone free to play. So that means absolutely everyone can download the Sims 4 base game for absolutely no fee whatsoever. So if you're someone that's been wanting to play the Sims 4 but you didn't really want to splurge, now you can just download the game and then just see what it's about, and yeah, it's exciting times. And so because of that, I wanted to do another base game build and just build a big suburban family home in the world of Newcrest, and that's exactly what I did. Now, this is my second base game build within the past couple of weeks. I did actually do a base game Victorian house maybe like 4 or 5 weeks ago or something, but I feel like it's been a while since I've sat down and I've built like a base game suburban, because before the Victorian house that I previously built, the previous base game only house that I built was like a Mediterranean. I just wanted to have a range basically, because I feel like sometimes when you're trying to search for a base game house, you quite easily run into a lot of different like suburban kind of houses, which, I mean, granted, I do love a suburban myself, but I wanted there to be a range of different base game builds that I've done. I'm yet to do a modern one. Maybe next time I do a base game only build, I'll do like a modern base game build. But I just felt like sitting down and building something just using the base game, because I wanted to kind of like celebrate the fact that literally everyone and their brother and their whoever can now download the game. And also I just wanted to build something suburban, because I feel like it's been a while since I've actually sat down and built a suburban house. But I'm building on this 30 by 30 lot, which is a Newcrest, which I think I've only ever built on maybe once before in the past. I'm not sure how many different 30 by 30 lots there is in the whole of like the base game world, but I know that a 30 by 30 is sometimes quite hard to find a house for, and so I thought maybe if you are someone that's new to The Sims 4 and you're trying to find various different like base game only builds to try and fill up maybe like the world of Newcrest, because when you first go into a brand new game, like Newcrest is completely blank, or like a brand new save file, Newcrest is basically like a blank state and you can build whatever you want there, create all these different families, unlike Willow Creek and Oasis Springs that's already kind of got houses. So maybe if you're searching for like different builds to fill up the world, you could place this one out into Newcrest if you decide that you like it and you want to download it. But yeah, anyway, getting on actually talking about some of the stuff that has happened this week, because honestly there has been a lot and there is so much to keep up with. I say some of the stuff in the past week like I'm going to tell you about my personal life. I'm not. I mean in the Sims 4 terms, because we've had quite a big week in terms of Sims 4 news and just announcements, and just there is so much. I'm not going to talk about everything in detail, because I do actually kind of want to talk about this build, because I'm really happy the way it turned out and I just kind of want to explain what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And I have also got a storyline up for Sims that could possibly live in this house if you kind of want to play along with the storyline. But pretty much we had quite a big stream early this week on Tuesday, which was the Sims Summit, and it was this really big stream that they were kind of hyping up the past month or so. And not gonna lie, I was a little bit anxious for this stream, because I was worried that it might not live up to this big dramatic like event that they were promoting. Like there was YouTube ads about it, they were just talking about it consistently. Everyone literally seemed to be talking about all the Sim Gurus, the Sims Twitter account just consistently was talking about the stream. I was very nervous going into this stream, and basically it did not disappoint. So besides the massive, obviously, elephant in the room, the base game has now gone free, they did actually like tell us and show us some other things for the future of The Sims 4. One of them is being, they shown us 2 kind of like concept arts for new, I'm assuming new worlds that are going to be coming in 2 expansion packs, because they said that there was going to be 2 expansion packs, and I'm sorry, I can't remember off memory if they said it was going to be within the next year or next year. So either we're getting 2 expansion packs again next year, because previously The Sims 4 did actually go for a phase where we'd always get an expansion pack around about June, July, and then there would be one in like November. But because of COVID and kind of like the aftermath of that, they then have only been releasing 1 expansion pack a year. So I'm not sure if we're going to be getting an expansion pack this year or next year. I should have probably rewatched the stream or like rewatched some highlights of it to try and like pinpoint what the Sims team actually said. But yeah, they kind of announced 2 new expansion packs coming. Now, we did also get some concept art to kind of go along with the expansion packs, and one of the things is so exciting because in one of the concept arts, and I'm not joking, if you haven't seen it, you're probably going to think I'm pulling your leg. In one of the concept arts, there is a sim walking, and first of all, there is a kid on a bike, which, if you're not aware, for some reason, kids can't actually go on bikes in the game currently, which I often very much forget because I've actually got a mod, and you can easily find different mods out there that basically, the bike that we've got within The Sims 4, I think it came with Discover University, there is custom content and mods out there that basically allows kids to ride bikes, so I actually forget that that's not a feature, and I'm really surprised that that isn't a feature. But either way, the kid riding the bike isn't like the main centre point. It isn't the whole selling point for me for this new world or like the upcoming packs. The selling point for me is there is a sim that's standing next to the kid on the bike and they've literally got a baby on their back. In one of the, I don't know what it's called, but you know, like them, I don't want to say baby backpacks, but you know them backpacks that you can get where if you've got like a baby or an infant, you can kind of like plop them in a backpack, or you can have like a front backpack. I more often see people have them on their front of their body and like the baby up really close to their chest. But either way, a sim had that. I'm not joking. You should have seen my face when I was watching this live stream. I am so excited because we're pretty much getting a new life stage to The Sims 4, which originally I did think that we was just going to be getting updated babies, but apparently according to like different tweets that I've seen and different articles that I've been reading, we're not actually getting the update baby refresh. Update baby is very much still going to be a thing apparently, but we're getting a new life stage, which are going to be infants. And they shown a little tiny video at the very end of the stream. Oh my, it is the cutest thing. Honestly, if I'm being honest, at first I did think it was a toddler, but then I was really confused because toddlers in the game can't crawl. They just, as soon as you age up an object baby into a toddler, they just all of a sudden like start walking. It's like one of the first animations that they do is if there is like a sim that's either like a teen or a young adult or whatever, just someone who can walk and cook and, you know, like kind of look after themselves, they'll kind of like pick up this toddler and then the toddler will then be able to start walking and kind of like take their first steps, and then that's literally it, and then toddlers can walk, which I've never really been a massive fan of because to me, that object baby was literally lying in basically a box the past couple of days, and now you're telling me they've aged up, they've blown candles with birthday cake, and now they can walk. It's never really made much sense to me. But there was this infant crawling across the screen, and like I said at first, I thought it was a toddler, and I was really confused because I was like, hang on, the toddlers can't crawl. But then there was this sneeze from the infant, the cutest sneeze, might I just add, and then the infant basically fell onto its back, and then there was a sim that kind of came and scooped them up. It is the most adorable thing I think I've seen this whole entire year. Now, they didn't give an exact like time stamp for when we can expect to see this in the Sims 4 base game, but they did say expecting, you know, like how when you're pregnant or like if you know someone that's pregnant in there, they say, oh, we're expecting in this time frame, whatever. They said expecting 2023, so I'm going to take that as we might be getting this new infant life stage, maybe like the first patch of next year or maybe like the second patch in February or something. Either way, we're getting a new life stage in the game, which is so exciting. There is also so many other things that went on in this live stream. I'm not going to tell you about every single one of them because like I said, I actually want to talk about this build and all the different things that I'm doing and how I'm doing it and whatnot and kind of like my thought process. But then we also got some concept art for I think 2 kits as well. One of them seemed to be a little bit more rustic, and then actually no, I'm saying that, I think both of them seem to be a little bit more like cabiny kind of looking kits. I think they're kits anyway. But then another thing that got kind of like announced, which was actually the biggest thing, but it sounds bad, but I'm more focused on the updated babies or like the infants than this second thing, but pretty much they teased The Sims 5. Now, I think I'm not as excited about this as what I am for the infants because this game will, or if it is even The Sims 5, because they said a new simulation game. I can't remember the exact wording that they used, but I'm sure they were probably very smart with the way that they worded it. But pretty much, there's going to be either The Sims 5 or a Sims spin-off and have a new game. And they showed it, but they said it is very, very early in development. Like, very, like, underline, put it in bold, the word very early. Actually no, that's 2 words in it, but it's a very early development for the game, and so it's not going to come out for a good couple of years. So that's probably why I'm not as excited about it, because I don't want to start getting excited for something that might come out in like, I don't know, like 5 years or something. But they pretty much tease what The Sims 5 could look like and kind of like the building by of The Sims 5 or this new simulation game. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit I want to see more. And they said that they're announcing it this early on, which they never have done before, because they kind of want to get input back from people in the community, which I absolutely love that. But one thing I'm a little bit worried about is this new game seems to be cross-platform. So they kind of showed a snippet of it being on, I think it was either a tablet or like a laptop, and then you can move it over onto your phone. I'm a little bit on edge. Not on edge, that's the wrong words to use. I'm a little bit anxious about that, because I'm just worried if that's going to be the case for the whole entire game, how it might affect the game later on down the timeline. I'm not sure, but like I said, it's very early in development, and they pretty much teased this new simulation game, which is pretty much, in a better lack of words, possibly going to be The Sims 5, which is just, it's actually mind-blowing to think about, because The Sims 4 has still got many years to come. So if you're just getting into The Sims 4, don't worry, you're probably good for another 3 or 4 years, I'm assuming. But yeah, they teased The Sims 5. They also announced a collaboration with loads of different modders and CC. So now you have like an easier place to download mods and CC, and they'll be updated frequently. And it's just, there is so much going on in this live stream. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you go ahead and watch it. It's only a half hour long, so it's not too long. You can maybe watch it when you're having your tea or something, or when you're having your dinner. Like I said, I have missed quite a lot within this half hour video, but I just don't want to be talking about this live stream too much, because I really want to move on and kind of talk about this build. But if you want me to talk about what my thoughts about it in like upcoming videos, let me know, because I could sit here and talk about it for days. But moving on from that and actually getting back to talking about this build. So as you can see, I've done the whole of the exterior of the build. I've already done the back garden, and now I'm moving on into the inside of this house. In the garden, I ended up adding quite a big square size swimming pool, which I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not the biggest fan of having a square swimming pool in the game, and just in my builds I try and avoid having square shaped pools, just because I'm just not a massive fan of the way they looked. But when I was building this house, I basically just wanted it to have as many different like gameplay opportunities for both your Sims and for you as well within the house itself. So I pretty much tried to include every single type of activity, every single type of thing that your Sims can interact with. And so I felt like it's quite necessary to have a swimming pool somewhere within the house, or somewhere within the garden. Probably not the house. I mean, actually, to be fair, I've never done a house with an indoor swimming pool. Maybe that is something that I need to put on my list, because I've just clocked on to the fact that I've never actually done that. But I felt like it was necessary to have a swimming pool somewhere in the back garden, and unfortunately the only one that I could really fit was quite square looking. I mean, I feel like I made it work, but around the swimming pool there is some sun lounges, there is also a little barbecue area and an outdoor seating area, there is also a chess table, a bunch of different planters in the garden, which I've already come into the game and I've already pre-planted some different fruits and vegetables. So if you want to download this house, there is already some planted, so your Sims can get straight on into gardening. Feel free to delete them. Don't feel like you actually have to keep them there. They're just there, one, so I could play test to make sure all the planters actually work, and two, just because I feel like they look nice for the screenshots. But there is also a telescope in the back garden, which next to the actual telescope itself, I thought of the idea, and it also kind of goes hand in hand with the storyline for the Sims that I imagine could live in this house. I imagine of a little kid being really just fascinated by space and just absolutely loves looking outside onto the telescope. And so next to the telescope in the back garden, I placed down like a little garden chair, and then I also placed down this kind of little side table with kind of like an open book. I was just picturing your Sims being able to sit there and then maybe writing notes about what they've seen, and maybe just trying to record all the different things that they've captured in their telescope. I just thought it was a really nice idea. But moving on and actually talking about a storyline, or like just potential gameplay possibilities you could have for Sims living in this house. Now, it's not that much of an in-depth storyline that I was thinking of when I was building this, but I was trying to think of a storyline that you could play with just a Sims 4 base game, and just try and explore the game if you have just recently gotten into it. Well, I mean, I say that, I actually still very much play this gameplay. I want to say gameplay idea, because it's not really much of a storyline, but it's more so like a gameplay idea that you have for the game. But I pretty much play this all the time, and if you've been here for a while, you've heard me talk about this, because it's one of my favourite things to do in The Sims 4, and it's basically trying to get a household to complete all the different collections in the game, which sounds like it's an easy task. Best believe me, it is not. It is such a hard task. There is some proper graft that you got to put into it, but when I was decorating this house, I was pretty much trying to think of all the different things that I find the most fun within just the base game itself, so base game features, and the most fun that I have, even when I play with all the different expansion packs and game packs and whatnot, the most fun that I have is just getting my my Sims to go around and just find random fossils, which saying it out loud sounds really boring, but believe me and trust me, it is not. Trying to basically get my Sim to find all these different fossils and postcards, collect all the different fish that we have in all the different worlds, try and find all the different harvestables, and basically try and complete the collections. And so because of that, you'll notice now that I've said it, or at least I hope you might notice if you are familiar with some of the different collectibles that you can actually find in the game, throughout the whole entire house, throughout like all the downstairs and then some of the upstairs areas as well, I basically decorated with loads of different fossils and mounted fish and postcards and basically all the different things that your Sims can actually find within these collections. And I was thinking in terms of what does this family do in sense of how do they actually bring the money home, because having a hobby where you go and collect fossils is all well and great but doesn't exactly pay the bills. And so the idea that I came up with is we have two parents. One of the parents is going to be a gardener, my second favourite thing to do within the Sims 4 base game, because I don't know what it is, I just love getting my Sims to garden. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am very much not a gardener in real life. All the plants I have got, they are fake, they're just from IKEA. But in The Sims 4, there is just something about it. I think it's because the gardening system is done really well in the game. But I was thinking that for this household, one of the parents could be a gardener, and then that way, every single time they harvest stuff, they can sell it, and then you can actually make money quite quickly from just selling all these different harvestables within the game. But then I was thinking for the second parent, I had the idea, and I really like the idea, of the other one being a writer or kind of like an author, and they write books about all the different collectibles that they find. I just thought that was such a nice idea. And so you'll notice that quite shortly we're actually going to move on into the home office, because I have failed to mention, but this house does end up having a home office. So it's basically like a computer room. It ends up having a bunch of different bookcases in there, an art easel, and then also a computer desk as well. That was pretty much the whole extent that I had in terms of the storyline for Sims that could live in this house. Like I said, it's not really much of a storyline, it's more so kind of like a gameplay idea in case you are someone that's just gotten into The Sims 4. But then saying that, and if you've just been here for a while and you've heard about me talking about the collections within the game and you still haven't tried it, please go and try it, because I'm now wanting to create a new household and try and discover it, because it will quite literally take you years to try and complete all the different collections in the game. It is very much a time consuming thing, but every single time your Sims get that little sound notification that they found something new, it brings me so much joy. But anyway, moving on from that and getting back and talking about what I'm doing right now and also the inside of this house. So I would tell you what I'm doing piece by piece for this room, but I pretty much already gave you the summary, a bit of a rundown of this room. This is the home office, so it ends up having the bookcase, like I said, the art easel, as well as a computer desk. It's pretty much a bits and bobs room. It's just a room that your Sims can come into. They can increase their skill, increase their fun. If you don't want to have like a home office within this house and you want to download it, you could definitely make this into maybe like an extra bedroom, like a games room or a playroom. Whatever you do when you download this house is completely up to you. I always used to mention it, and I feel like I haven't mentioned this in a really long time, but whenever you download my builds of the gallery, please feel free to change them and just manipulate them and just decorate them how you want to decorate your Sims houses, because I might do something and you might not like the way that I've decorated it, or I might have an extra bedroom and you don't need as many bedrooms. Please feel free to download the house and change it in any way, shape or form that suits your gameplay style, because I mean at the end of the day you're the one that's playing in it, not me. And so if you do want to change that room and make it into a home office, not home office, if you do want to change that room and you want to make it into maybe like an extra bedroom for a set of grandparents or something, please feel free to do so. But it's pretty much just like a bits and bobs space. But now, as you can see, I've actually now moved on into one of the bathrooms, which I normally only ever show the furnishing of one of the bathrooms for all of my Sims houses, because normally I just find them too repetitive, and just sometimes there is too many bathrooms to show in a house, especially if I'm doing one like the one that I did last week. I built this really big house in the world of Brinton Bay. I think it ended up having like 6 bathrooms or something, and so if I would have shown every single bathroom, it would have been a bit ridiculous. And so normally I show the furnishing of one because they're all often just decorated the same way anyway. But I wanted to show the downstairs one because I was thinking, if you wanted to, and if you have got the laundry day stuff pack, I was thinking you could possibly make that into a utility room. I mean, saying that, I do want to make it clear that by no means you don't need to then go and buy the laundry day stuff pack. But if I was you and you did have the laundry day stuff pack already, you'd already pre-purchased it, I would probably make that room into a laundry room, because I'm just someone that I love getting my Sims to do washing and just, I'd say washing and tumble drying, but that doesn't make any sense. But I love getting my Sims to do chores. So anything that involves like a hoover washing, just picking up and just cleaning up, and I just absolutely love it. It's just so much fun. The very boring things in real life I really enjoy doing in the game. Saying that, collecting things in real life is not boring whatsoever, but in terms of just general chores in the game, I love getting my Sims and also the household members to also kind of like pick up their own share of the chores. I just personally find that really fun in family gameplay. But yeah, if I was you, you can make that into a laundry room. You would have seen I basically tried to make like a base game utility room. So in there I placed down these counters and I placed down like a little washing basket, and then on the other side I placed down this tool cabinet. I'd probably replace that and put the washing machine and tumble dryer, but it's completely up to you. You can just keep it as a normal bathroom. But then also in that room there ended up being a shower as well as a toilet, and then just like a basic sink. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the garage space. Now again, similar to the home office, it kind of ends up being like a bits and bobs room. It's in here we have the woodworking table. You can see how much I cluttered up these counters next to the woodworking table. I pretty much just went through the debug menu and a little bit of the live edit menu and tried to find things I feel like, right, if you've got a workbench in your garage, what have you got next to the workbench? You're going to have different kinds of tools, different kinds of like bits and pieces, maybe like old different projects that you maybe been working on or something. And so that's pretty much what I ended up cluttering that like kind of like workspace around the workbench with. And then also in this room there ends up being a boxing bag, so your Sims can gain their fitness skill in this room. There is also the little I can't think what it's called. You know, the table of all the different elements? There ends up being one of them in that room, because I thought, well, as I was thinking that Sims that could potentially live in this house could be Sims that are really into collecting things, one of the other things that we have a collection for within The Sims 4 is all the different elements in the game, and so that is the elements table. Unfortunately, it is not the best looking table, and I'm still yet to find, and hopefully if any of you have any idea, I'm still yet to find a better looking elements table of CC, because like I said, I'm someone that very much plays with all the different collections and I get my Sims to do it quite frequently in the game, and unfortunately that is the only one table that we have to display all the different elements. And so if anyone knows of any nice CC for an elements table, please send me the link, because my Sims consistently have quite, I don't want to say it's quite a bad looking object, but it's not exactly the nicest thing to look at. But there is an elements table in there as well, and then there is also a card table in the middle so your Sims can play a bunch of cards together. And then I also just place loads of different like plant pots. Like I said, I imagine that one of the Sims in this household was a gardener, and so there's kind of like empty plant pots kind of like stacked upon one another in the garage. I was thinking maybe it's ones for plants that have maybe gone out of season, or plants that maybe they've just decided to get rid of, and so they've got some spare plant pots going around. I just basically tried to fill it with quite generic garage-like items. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs portion of the house, and I started off by doing, I think, the hallway, which you can already see that I've done, and then also the next bathroom. Now, like I mentioned, there is 3 in this house. I don't show the furnishing for the final and third bathroom. It just ends up being a tiny little ensuite just off the parents' room. And also, actually, I just reminded myself of 2 things I forgot to place down into this house when I was actually initially building it. I've since now added them in, but one of the things is a potty downstairs. You can see that I've now moved on into the toddler's room, and I've already placed one down into this room. But sometimes if you've got a toddler and they haven't got a very high movement skill, which is the skill that basically gets them to walk a little bit quicker and eventually they'll be able to run, if they have a really low movement skill, some toddlers can't go up the stairs. And so if you have a toddler and they need a wee, but the only potty's upstairs, sometimes they basically just use their diaper and then they get smelly and it's a whole thing, and then you actually have to get your Sims to actually look after the toddler and actually interact with them. There is a potty downstairs. When I came in and I started taking the screenshots and also playtesting the house, I kind of realised that I needed one, and so I added another potty downstairs into the utility room. And then I also forgot to add in the high chair, but same scenario. When I was taking the screenshots for the dining room, I realised that there wasn't a high chair for the toddler to sit at, even though half the time Sims just pick toddlers out of the high chair and place them onto the floor anyway, which is really annoying. But there is a high chair. You just won't see me do it. It's because I'd place it down when I wasn't filming, but you will see it in the screenshots. But anyway, now moving on and talking about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I just finished off the toddler's room and now I've moved on into the child's room. In here, you might notice I was having a bit of a mare trying to figure out what do I put on the back of this wall in terms of this like blank plain wall behind the bed. It's plain white wallpaper. How do I fill it out? How do I make it look interesting? And so I tried pretty much every single type of poster, framed print that I could think of that we have within the base game. I even went into the debug and tried looking at all the different like telescope prints and microscope prints, trying to find something to fit onto that wall. In the end, I just placed down this really cute shelf, which is from base game. Often forget it's even a thing, but it's kind of like, originally when you pull it out, it's kind of like this little rainbow shelf, but there's this swatch of a completely just blank cloud little shelf, and I just think it was so sweet. And so I placed that down above the bed, and I cluttered it with like a little plant, some nail varnish, also like a little pen pot, and then I also ended up placing down one of the same prints that I placed down into the toddler's room, which I didn't initially want to do, and I kept on scrolling past it when I was trying to look for things to clutter it up, because I didn't want to have the same poster in the room next door, but it was the only thing that I could find. So if you want to change that to be a different poster, again, just feel free to do whatever you want with this house, but it was the only one that I could find that kind of fitted in with a child's room, because we don't really have much artwork as it goes within the game. I mean, especially lacking with toddler artwork and kid artwork, not so much teenager artwork, because I feel like there's so many different posters that we can use for teenagers, but I feel like in them two departments, The Sims 4 Build and Buy is kind of lacking. Hopefully, with this new like infant update, we're going to get more like nursery themed items, or maybe more kind of like bedroom items that we can use for both toddlers and the infants as well, because we only really have the toddler stuff pack, and if you don't have any of their packs and you're just playing with The Sims 4 base game, it can be quite, it's just quite limiting. But anyway, besides the point, as you would have seen in that room, there ended up being a science table. Is it me, or did I just completely forget that they updated that science table? Because previously it came in one swatch and it was horrendous. Sorry to whoever created it originally, but originally the original swatch of that science table was this really just not very nice looking like green kind of colour, and for years it just stayed to be this one object with this one colour, and we never got any updated versions of it. And then eventually we got the Snowy Escape expansion pack, and they gave us a new science table, and then now whenever I use the science table, I always go for the one that we got from that DLC. But then I placed it down and I kind of like refreshed my mind. I'm pretty sure I knew about it, but I then discovered, maybe again because maybe I discovered it before, but we actually do have some plain swatches of that science table, and I always just kind of overlook them. But yeah, there was a science table in that room, as well as a little computer desk, and as well as a teddy bear. But now you can see that I've now moved on into the next bedroom, which is the teenager's bedroom. So in here I ended up placing the bed right up against the wall, which I normally try and avoid just in case your Sims might have a partner or something, and I normally like having it so your Sims can gain access to both sides of the bed. That sounds weird saying that, but I like basically having it so your Sims can get in at both sides. Your Sim can still get to the other side, they'll basically just step onto it and then they'll kind of like scoot over. But in terms of how I wanted this bedroom to be laid out, I didn't want the bed to take up the majority of the space and then there not be enough space for other things like a computer desk or like a chest of drawers or something, and so I decided to put it right up against the wall. But then on the other side I placed down kind of like this little TV unit console thing, and I placed down a TV on the wall. I also placed down like a little music station underneath it. I wanted it to seem like a little bit of like a gaming area, although the music station, or like the radio station that I actually placed down, I ended up changing because when I was coming around and playtesting this house, one of the only minor problems that I ran into, because there wasn't really anything, but one of the problems that I did run into was that music station. For some reason my Sims couldn't dance to it. They could just listen to music, but they couldn't dance to it. And so I decided, well, I want you to be able to actually dance to something if there is a music station in this house. And so I actually changed that to be the speaker, which is the Lindsay speaker, which I'm not going to say the name of it just in case you've got one and I set it off. But you know, like the Amazon speaker that you can talk to, there is a Sims version of it in the game, and I ended up placing it down into that room. But then now, as you can see, I've now moved on into the parents' bedroom. In here it's quite a big space for a parents' room, but you know what, I actually really like the way it turned out. You might have noticed that originally I was going to go for like a more modern furniture theme for this room, and I started placing down the furniture items and I was looking at it and I was thinking, this doesn't really fit with the rest of the house, and so I decided to change it to be a little bit more traditional looking items, and then that way it kind of just fits in with the rest of the house. But apart from that, I'm just going to go around and finish it off, and that is pretty much it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. As always, you can download this build via the gallery. My gallery ID is JessicapieYT, or you can search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedrunning video. Bye guys.